Hi, I'm EllaAradia and welcome to your Psychic Tarot love reading. This reading is for my Taurus, Virgo and Capricorn earth signs. The timestamps are below, where we'll be taking a deeper dive into your person's hidden feelings for you. This is a love reading and it's for those of you who are already connected with someone, even if you are currently in no contact with your person. This will be a very specific message, so it may not resonate for all of you. If it feels right, then it's meant for you. Otherwise, you may want to check out the readings for your other placements, so Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you get notified when the next videos are up. So Taurus, let's jump in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Taurus, before I start pulling cards. I'm actually a psychic reader where I tend to channel mainly. So I always like to just kind of see what comes through. I feel like there's a big question around the person that you're currently dealing with in terms of, how invested are they? Are they being honest? Are they being loyal? I do feel the energy of suspicion. I feel like your intuition is, bringing up some questions for you right now. And I feel like this is someone you've been involved with for a little while. To me, it kind of feels like they're doing just enough to keep the connection going. But I am sensing some energies of like some other stuff kind of going on in the background there, which I feel you are picking up on. Your overall energy, the Ace of Swords. So you're being asked to see the truth of something. This is an energy which cuts through a situation to bring the truth about something. It's about seeing things, with a fresh perspective, seeing the truth of something. So there is an invitation to look at that. And, sometimes it's not always easy to do that when it is somebody that, you are quite heavily invested in, that you put a lot into. Sometimes we get kind of hooked up on the potential. We see the potential. And, sometimes we put the reality of what is in this moment to one side. We see it, but we kind of push it down. We don't really want to look at it. Your person's view of you, the Page of Wands. Their feelings towards you, Five of Wands. So this is someone who, I do feel there is that chemistry, there is that physical attraction with the Page of Wands. But sometimes the Page of Wands isn't so much an energy that can perhaps give you that longer term commitment. And when I see the Five of Wands there, this is a bunch of people who are competing with each other. And, there may be this sense of other people in the mix here. This is the energies I'm feeling in the background. I'm not necessarily saying that there is actual cheating going on physically, but it depends on, what somebody sees cheating as, because I feel like there's something going on in the background here where, it feels like your person is, keeping chats going, like, it could just be online. They might be someone that's a little bit kind of flirtatious, that quite enjoys the attention. But it feels like it's something that's kind of going on in the background there. And you're picking up on it. Your intuition is telling you there's something that's not quite right here, that I feel like you're in this being kind of very loyal. and, really giving your all to that. Their intentions towards you, the Two of Swords. So there's obviously some conflict going on here. You may have, voiced some of these suspicions. You may have questioned, I feel, how invested they are. Are they on the same page here? And there may have been conflict between the two of you. And whatever it is that perhaps has been spoken, it may also be a truth that the person that you're dealing with is struggling to look at right now. They may be avoiding that. So you may also be dealing with someone that, they may have pulled back a little bit and closed off from you. But I definitely feel something has kind of gone down, some kind of conflict, words spoken, maybe arguments, something like that. Your feelings towards your person is the High Priestess. This is an energy of she who knows. She knows the truth. This often speaks of, sometimes karmic connections where you just have a kind of a sense of knowing with a person that there's something more, there's something significant. But in this case, I feel like this is about you using that sense of knowing, trusting your intuition in this situation, because I do feel it is communicating something to you. But it might be something that is difficult to face, because in facing it, it might, mean having to let this person go, which then might mean, having to let go of, everything that you've put into this connection. In the challenge, we have the Lovers, and that is the challenge, the choice that does need to be made here. So the Two of Swords, the Lovers, a relationship choice, and one that perhaps I feel you're struggling to make right now. I get the energy of you of, wanting to kind of give it a bit more time. I do feel like you're dealing with someone that's a little bit on the cusp of not quite ready to let go of that kind of single independent life. But in another way, I do feel like their soul wants love, because there is also for them something that is a little bit unfulfilling about, being single and perhaps having those, more superficial connections all the time. And I do feel like you've come along, with an invitation here for something real. But there's a struggle, there's a conflict in your person around being able to step up to that, I feel. I just see the word timing, that maybe, right now, the timing is perhaps not quite right. And that's the thing sometimes with these soulmate connections, there is an invitation for love, for something real, for something whole. But both people need to be able to step up to that and embrace it. And I do feel like you're there, Taurus, but I feel like the person that you're dealing with, it just feels like they've got a little bit more work to do on themselves. And that's the struggle here. That's the struggle with making, this decision that really does need to be made. You see the potential. But, with the Ace of Swords here as your overall energies, you're actually being asked to see the truth of a situation. You're being asked to deal with what actually is right now, what is happening right now. Because sometimes, we can get a little bit caught up in illusions. We can get more kind of hooked into the potential, the what could be. The version of them that, we would like them to be, rather than what is actually happening in this moment. So the hidden influence is the Knight of Wands. So the hidden influence is an energy which, may be affecting the connection in some way. And this card is actually known as the player of the tarot, and that is what you are dealing with, I feel, unfortunately. And there is a choice that needs to be made here, Taurus, and the invitation of the Lovers is about making a choice that really aligns with your truth, even if that means facing some fears, some insecurities, some difficult emotions. Because in order to really bring in, what you really want, it's almost like you need to make a choice that, is really aligned with what your heart wants, so that you can send that message out to the universe. When you do that for yourself, it shifts your vibration, which then allows you to attract the kind of person that you really want here. And yes, there may be like this great physical connection, but I do get the sense that, you're needing something more from this person, and I just feel like they're not stepping up for you in that way. There is that attraction, there's that passion, there's that fire energy with the Knight of Wands. But it just doesn't feel to me that this person is ready to step into a loyal, committed relationship. And the thing is, how much time do you give it here? How long do you wait? And it's really important to, have a little bit of a deeper look at that, because sometimes the longer we stay in something that isn't, what we really want, it can block us from actually connecting to someone who can give us what we want, that can connect more deeply, is ready for that long-term committed relationship. And so there is a little bit of a caution there that, some of you might need to kind of think about in regards to this situation. So your advice from the universe, the Five of Pentacles, moving on. This is all about, leaving behind something which you are in where you are perhaps needing to, bring in a little bit more self-worth and value here, and self-love. It often represents, instability, loss, feeling on the outside of something. So that might be true for some of you that are in no contact at the moment, feeling on the outside, but it's also moving away from something where you don't feel valued and appreciated. And the invitation of the Five of Pentacles is really about moving forward, knowing your worth and your value, and not settling for less. And what lies in your outcome is the Three of Cups. Sometimes this is a card of reconciliation, but it's also about getting yourself out there, connecting to people who celebrate you and really lift you up. It's very much a card of friends, community. And, that is the invitation here, that perhaps there is more out there for you. And, if it is that you do decide to kind of move on from this connection, I feel like that's about leaning on, your friends, your support network, and people that truly celebrate you, and, really bringing that energy in, moving forwards. So let's just get your person's hidden message for you. So this is more for those of you that are in some kind of no contact situation here. I feel like the universe wants you to, have a little bit more fun and get yourself out there, connect to friends, community, and, just meet new people. Just be open to meeting new people. So we need to let each other go. I want to feel that way again. I feel you even though we are apart. Sometimes I stay awake thinking about you. I wish things could be different. So Taurus, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Virgo. Virgo, let's see what we have for you. Okay, one more shuffle. Virgo, let's dive in. I always like to tune into the energies first, Virgo, before I start pulling cards. Just like to see what comes through. I'm actually a psychic reader, so I just like to tune into the energies before I do anything else. I feel like you are coming through kind of quite a major tower moment with the person that you're connected to. I very, very strongly sense some energies of things just breaking down here and a really challenging time. And I see a lot of sadness and kind of heartbreak going on, a lot of anxiety, a lot of, you know, not understanding, you know, why all of this is happening. And I do feel it's been a very challenging time with the person that you're dealing with. There's something toxic about this connection. They may have some, you know, toxic behaviors. Because I do feel this energy of toxicity. And I do feel like you've been carrying the weight of this somehow, trying to, you know, help them to grow, to improve. They may have influences around them. I see certain friends circle, you know, it might be friends, it might be family, which, you know, might be a little bit of a negative influence on them, is what I'm feeling. And I also feel like you're dealing with someone that deep, deep down inside has very low self-worth and value, and deep down inside doesn't really feel deserving of love. And so, of course, every time they try to open up to the love that you're offering, it brings up those insecurities. And I just feel like this is someone who really struggles to go within to do that inner work. And, you know, huge struggle around expressing their emotions, I feel. And, you know, there may be some kind of toxic behaviors which they have that for them kind of detaches them from, you know, facing difficult emotions. With your overall energies, the Seven of Pentacles, so you're being asked to take a pause here, to take stock, to really look at, you know, what you have with this person, because it's all about taking stock, resetting, and really having a good kind of honest look around, you know, what you have, who or what do you want to put your energies into moving forwards here. Is this thing still worth, you know, showing up for and putting your energy into? I do feel like you love this person, and I do feel like you see the potential. But it does feel like there needs to be a lot of change here in order for things to actually move forwards at this point. I do feel like you've hit some kind of make or break point here. It's almost like what I'm feeling, like these toxic behaviors, it's almost like it's part of their identity. And there's a little bit of a fear to kind of let go of that. I feel like it connects them to a certain group of people and it's part of their identity. And so to step into a new version of themselves, I feel like there's this fear of becoming disconnected from others, you know, something like that going on with them. Your person's view of you, the Hermit. I feel like they're closed off. I feel like they're shut down, they're closed off. They may be reflecting, but it can also be an energy of being a little bit shut down. Their feelings towards you, the Emperor. This is someone that's trying to keep some kind of control here with the behaviors that they have. Some kind of sense of control. I do feel that you are the one stable thing in their life though, because I do feel like they have a lot of disharmony around them, conflict, drama, you know, toxic connections and behaviors. And, you know, I do feel like they see you as, you know, somebody that they can rely on, that one stability in their life. Their intentions towards you, the Nine of Pentacles. Now, in a love reading, this is often someone who is kind of saying, I'm okay on my own. I'm okay as a single, independent person. And in a positive way, it often represents, you know, that kind of sweet spot that we get to in ourselves where we don't necessarily need a relationship. We're kind of feeling okay on our own for a bit. But, you know, the shadow part of that is, you know, someone that just isn't ready to let go of that sense of independence. And I feel with your person, there's something about their sense of who they are, their identity that's kind of wrapped up in a certain lifestyle here. Your feelings towards your person, the Five of Cups, that's that heartbreak, that sadness that I'm feeling, and a sense of loss, of things not working out, you know, the way that you wanted them to, the way that you hoped they would. And it's often a card of, you know, looking back on the past with, you know, regret, with disappointment, with that sense of loss. It's often where we're kind of ruminating over the past as well of, you know, if things had been different, if I had said something else, if I had approached the situation differently, maybe things would have been different. But would they? You know, that's the thing. And, you know, the message really of this card is, you know, while we need to kind of sometimes go back over the past to understand and get things in context, you know, don't forget about the Two Cups, which are still standing in the picture, you know, in the card. You know, these are the lessons, these are the blessings of whatever the situation. You know, there is always a silver lining. There's always something to be salvaged. You know, there's Two Cups which are still standing. So there may be a little bit of a calling here around looking at perhaps the soul lessons here. In the challenge, the Five of Pentacles. So there's a challenge to move on. There's a challenge to, you know, let go of this situation that really, you know, really feels like it's kind of collapsing and it's not working. And sometimes we need to find the courage to allow things to collapse because they're meant to. I feel like there is another path for you. That's the energy that I'm picking up in this right now. And the challenge is around allowing that, allowing, you know, this to break down, to let it go, to move in a different direction. Your hidden influence is the Eight of Pentacles. There is a calling here to, I feel, invest in yourself moving forwards, working on yourself, pouring the energy into yourself now, looking after your needs in this situation, because to me it feels like your needs are not really being met. You know, and unless there can be, you know, some kind of major shift from the person that you're dealing with here, you know, it's going to be very, very difficult to move things forward. And the outcome will just end up being the same again, because there does need to be a shift here. You need someone, you know, who is going to put that work in, who is going to be willing to show up and make that commitment, even if it's difficult for them. The most important part is being willing to kind of work on it together with you. With your advice from the universe, the Empress, this is all about new beginnings. It's about rebirth. And it's very much the energies on your side of really working out, you know, what do you want to nurture moving forwards? And sometimes that can very much be about, you know, looking after yourself in this situation. And, you know, by doing that, you know, honoring your needs, staying true to you, and perhaps letting go of anything that is not bringing that to you. And sometimes when we shift, you know, it shifts the dynamic. But for some of you, this may be an invitation for some kind of fresh start here. So what lies in the outcome? We have the Eight of Swords. This is often an energy of feeling stuck. And it feels a little bit more to me that that's an energy that you're in right now. And the invitation here is to remember, you know, that you're never really stuck. And sometimes it's the beliefs that we have, you know, the fears that kind of run through our mind, you know, but these are all things that can be changed. And, you know, it is possible to, you know, get into a fresh perspective around this. And to do that, it's all about dropping out of your mind into your heart, listening to your heart in this situation, and actually just trusting the guidance of your heart in this. Your heart always knows the answer. It's just that sometimes, you know, we don't really want to listen to it, but your heart always knows the answer. So Virgo, let's get your person's hidden message for you. So this is for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation, because I do feel some of you are dealing with someone that's a little bit shut down. I couldn't let you get close to me. That's very much what I'm feeling. My life is not as together as it seems. I'm not available. I want to tell you how I feel. I'm becoming a better person. So Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. We are going to move on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn. So let's see what your person's hidden feelings for you. So one more shuffle. Okay, Capricorn, let's dive in. So I always like to tune into the energies first, Capricorn, before I start pulling cards. I see two energies. I feel like there's someone in the past that you're hung up on. And there's a feeling of, you know, we're never really stuck, but there is a sense of feeling stuck here. And I see a new person trying to come in, but they can't come in because you're still hung up on this person from the past. And when I look at the energies, you know, of this situation, the past looks shadowy. and unclear and something toxic about it. There's baggage, you know, there's toxic energies. On some level, you know, it doesn't have to be something hugely negative, but, you know, something that's a little bit unhealthy. And when I look at the energies of this new person I see coming in, they feel light and it feels expansive, and there's a big invitation for love and you know, the kind of person that you really want, Capricorn. But I feel like you're caught up on the dream, the potential, but you're dealing with someone who isn't stepping up. They're not available for some reason. It's that kind of like unrequited love. With your overall energies, we have the Seven of Wands. Often a very guarded energy. Now that could be you, that could be the person that you're dealing with. You know, I almost feel like this is the person in the past, guarded, you know, they're not coming forward, they're held back. On your side, you know, this is often an energy of standing in your truth, especially in a moment of adversity or difficulty, you know, staying true to you. Your person's view of you, the Five of Wands. Conflict, competition. This may be someone that you feel that you're having to compete for. You know, there's many people in this picture here. Competition, competing for somebody. Their feelings towards you, the Two of Swords. Feeling stuck. A difficult truth that, you know, decision that they're needing to make in regards to you, but they're feeling stuck. They're avoiding, you know, making that choice. Their intentions towards you, the High Priestess. This may be someone that, you know, is realizing, is understanding that there is something significant about the connection with you. You know, this feels like some kind of karmic connection, soulmate energy. And, you know, the High Priestess speaks of, you know, that sense of a knowing. You know, so this may be someone that you've been involved with in the past that, you know, walked away for some reason. They may have pursued another connection. They may have taken a different path. But somehow there's still a kind of a connection with you. And I do feel that they feel that also. But with the Two of Swords there, there's something that they're feeling stuck about. I see the energy of my hands are tied. I do feel like there's something more with you. I do know that this is a significant connection, but the timing's just not right for me. My hands are tied, you know. There's something where it feels like this person has got obligations in another area of their life. That could be with another person, that could be work related. You know, there's something there in which is preventing them from being able to really come forward to you. Your feelings towards this person, you see them as a soulmate. You have them down as your person here. But even with that, I do feel like on your side, you're beginning to realize that you do need to make some kind of decision here, because, you know, you can't, you know, wait there forever for somebody to resolve whatever they're in to come forward to you. And I do feel you're kind of at this point where, you know, there's some kind of decision that you need to make, regardless of what they're doing here. And it feels like it's a choice about, You know, do I completely just let this go and move on? But there's a part of you that kind of still sees them as your person, as a soulmate. And it may be it's not so much necessarily that you have to let go of the person, but, you know, this could be a message around letting go of outcomes here. Letting go of the person that you wanted them to be, who you wanted them to be, and releasing that, you know, letting that go. Letting go of attachment to outcomes and come more into the energy of understanding that, you know, the reality of this situation here is, you know, this is someone who has obligations to something else, another person, could be a marriage or children or family. And the reality is, you know, that is their reality, and that is something that is blocking them from being able to come forward and honor the connection with you, even though they do feel that that's a deep connection. And so that may be the choice that you need to make, choosing to just simply let go of the attachment to the outcome here, just so that it kind of frees your energy up. You know, you can do that and still honor that, you know, you have a special deep connection with that person, and you will always have that. But right now, you know, they can't give you what you really want. So what lies in the challenge is the Nine of Cups. This is really about that delicate balance around being open and closed. A little bit like how the arms are folded, the legs are slightly apart, you know, in the image on the card. And I do feel this is a message for you, Capricorn, around, you know, not being so closed off that it blocks you from perhaps a new person that the universe is trying to bring in for you. That's what I'm feeling here. You may have kind of closed yourself off to that because, you know, you've got kind of so caught up in this person, you know, in this person in the past, let's say. Your hidden influence is the Seven of Swords. So this is something which, an energy which may be impacting the connection in some way. It often represents deception, dishonesty. It's very much a card of, you know, somebody, you know, not being open about something, you know, sneaking around, you know, behind the scenes, not being honest. And, you know, you may be dealing with someone who, you know, may not be telling you the whole truth of a situation. And they might not be doing that because on some level, maybe they're trying to, you know, just keep a little bit of a door open with you. But at the same time, they're just not stepping up. And that's not really fair on you. And I do feel like, you know, it may be just really important for you to just make sure that you're not closing yourself off from, you know, meeting new people here, staying open. The universe is asking you to just stay a little bit open, because I do sense, you know, another soulmate coming in for you. And, you know, we can have many soulmates, not just one. And each connection is absolutely unique in its own way. It's not meant to replace anybody else, but I feel like the universe is trying to bring someone else in for you. Your advice from the universe, the Knight of Swords. This is all about, you know, thinking before you take action, you know, not rushing into anything. You know, this is often an energy of somebody kind of charging ahead, You know, there's no rush here, you know, and it's important to move forwards with a clear head. Your advice from the universe, the outcome is the Hierophant, which is a card of faith, keeping the faith. And I feel just trusting that, you know, there is the right person out there for you. And I do feel the universe is trying to bring that person in for you. And it is about staying true to what you want in a connection, because the energies of the Hierophant are really about the types of connections which are built on, you know, those shared values, shared beliefs, and, you know, someone that you build strong foundations with. And staying true to you, I do feel, will bring you somebody that can give you that commitment. You know, the Hierophant is all about tradition, faith, and commitment, you know, especially for those of you that are, you know, wanting perhaps a commitment of marriage or something like that. So Capricorn, let's get your person's hidden message for you. So the hidden message is for those of you who are in some kind of no contact situation. So I do feel that for some of you. You may be at a distance from this person. I feel you leaving me behind. I love you. I regret lying to you. So that's whatever that Seven of Swords is. You came closer than anyone. So many things remind me of you. So Capricorn, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, always, you know, trust what feels right for you moving forwards. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.